Venti is an incredibly powerful support, not only because of his crowd control, but also because he is an anemo character. Venti's best weapons are the Elegy of the End, his signature 5-star weapon, and the Stringless, a 4-star bow, due to its SEM stat. It is not recommended to pull on the weapon banner as R5 Stringless can surpass Elegy, as the passive increases elemental burst damage, which is the main part of his kit. Stringless refinements can be gained through gacha. Venti, as an anemo user, has the potential to make the most out of the Viridescent Veneer 4-piece bonus. This strengthens his role as a support character, as he can shred resistance of enemies for any element swirled. Venti's elemental skill varies if you tap or hold it. When tapped, it deals anemo DMG and launches small enemies into the air. When held, it summons a wind current, which is typically only used for exploration purposes rather than in combat. However, both tap and hold form of his skill has a long animation, which can be prevented by animation cancelling it by tapping his skill, then immediately using his elemental burst. This will also give Venti particles after his burst ends. Venti's elemental burst is quite unique. It has a large O for crowd control and brings all enemies into one singular area. However, this area is in the air, which can be frustrating. Bow users are generally the only characters that can hit opponents while they are trapped in his Stormai, as well as Ayaka, whose charged attacks and burst can hit opponents. Venti's burst can also be infused with a certain element. The first one it encounters, only Electro, Pyro, Cryo, and Hydro, as Dendro cannot be swirled. Swirl is a transformative reaction that scales on elemental mastery in the character level. If you would like Venti swirls to deal more damage, it is considerable to level him all the way to level 90, rather than 80-90. Venti has two main playstyles, however only one is recommended. This is the Elemental Mastery build, where triple M artifacts are used, with enough energy recharge to use his burst off cooldown. Ideally, 170 energy recharge is sufficient. This can be time-consuming to farm, however in 3.0, the Artifact Strongbox system expanded to now accommodate Viridescent Veneer. It is much better than building him as a standard DPS, with ATK or crit. In an M build, leveling talents is not needed. Venti's A1 passive extends the duration of the wind current generated when holding his skill, and his A4 is quite useful. 15 energy is regenerated for Venti once the duration of his burst ends. If an elemental absorption of his burst has occurred, 15 energy is restored to all party members of the corresponding element. This can help alleviate the amount of energy recharge characters may need. Venti is extremely flexible in team compositions, fitting extremely well in compositions that require crowd control for peak efficiency, have an ODPS, or an anemo user to shred resistance. These can include a freeze team with Ayaka or Ganyu, or as a battery in a Xiao team. Venti is also compared to Kazuha, another 5-star anemo character who excels in crowd control. I would recommend pulling for Venti if you do not have Kazuha, as Viridescent Veneer is a strong debuff to include in team compositions. Kazuha can have uptime on his crowd control, as he uses his skill, which only has a 6 or 9 seconds cooldown, whereas Venti's relies on his burst. Venti is much better than Kazuha at providing energy, but Kazuha can boost elemental damage to the team. However, if you do have Kazuha or Sucrose, then pulling for Venti is ultimately your choice as situations exist where having a crowd controller on Viridescent Veneer on both teams for the Spiral Abyss are beneficial.